if you guys do that, and
I,
you can't
I
then
don't.
go on the counter against
I
us.
don't. I don't agree because
goals back.
we've been in loads of games where we've not started well and then we grow into the game. Usually I'd be quite nervous if we concede, but these days, not to be cocky, but I know we're always going to get at least come back and have a second wind or a third wind. And conceding first. No team likes to concede first, of course not. But sometimes you need that kick out the arse to actually push you into second and third gear. So I'm not too worried about conceding first. Obviously, I want to see us actually, play football, like try and take the game to you guys. Don't be naive. You guys will come out 100 miles an hour, all guns blazing. But I think that naivety of this young Arsenal team will also be their downfall. Especially we've seen in the last league game, Arteta making 3 subs at the same time.
No, but there's a big difference. But there's a big difference.
What's the difference? What's the difference?
This is not Lokonga, bro. We got Thomas Partey back in that midfield.
Yeah. So what?
No
Partey is. Yeah.
1 second. Partey's fit. You don't have to worry.
He's always meant to be fit, and then he breaks down after 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Or you know what I mean? Like him being fit, it doesn't mean anything. He's available. Is he fit? That's another question.
He's available and he's going to be playing.
Kaz is laughing because he knows it's true. The amount of times, Partey's fit, and then 10 minutes later,
he played against Brentford. He played against Brentford. If you don't know,
that doesn't mean anything.
Not Brentford, not big scary Brentford.
I'm pretty sure.
Cass, stay quiet, Cass. Stay quiet.
Manchester United, we already know about them. But when it comes to every team in this league has something scary about them. I'm not gonna lie. If Thomas Partey's fit, you guys should be worried because he gives a different element to our control over a game. We now have that person at the back who defensively can stop attacks and also when it comes to progressing the ball from the midfield, he then allows Odegaard and Xhaka to go a lot more forward because he's now in that position. Let's be real. If this Tottenham team is going to try to hit us on the counter, Thomas Partey being in that midfield completely negates that because he's that extra blanket of protection that we didn't have against Manchester United.
I get the idea that Thomas Partey on paper would do that, but I don't think it works that way because it's not like Tottenham counter-attack through the middle. It's not like they have midfielders pushing on and trying to overload the midfield. It's kick it into Harry Kane's feet. How quickly can you kick it to the wingers? And then we're on the counter-attack. There's no time, really, for Thomas Partey to close down a midfielder who's on the ball or close down the striker who's on the ball. I think Tottenham, if Partey is fit, which I don't know. I know there's been injury issues, but he's got a fitness test or something. If he is fit, he'll be a help to Arsenal. But in terms of stopping the counter-attacks, I don't think he's going to necessarily be the be-all, end-all, because I don't think Tottenham necessarily counter-attacked in his channels.
I'm going to be honest. But one thing I don't think I'm going to try to stop doing is discrediting this Arsenal team, is because it's just they are Arsenal. I hate seeing them as a Man United fan doing well, so I'll always have an agenda against them regardless. But I get Spurs have their qualities, but we haven't really spoken on what Arsenal's their qualities either. Like they do have Jesus. You could say Spurs can sometimes they could be suspect to a goal. I think the Leicester game was a bit evident to them. I think Conte would note that down, to be fair as well, that the defense was just not good enough whatsoever. But at the same time, with Arsenal, they smashed Brentford. Like we're talking about Brentford, that's home form, that's wicked. Not just because they beat us, they've been beating a lot of other teams as well at their ground in good fashion. And I feel like Arsenal at this game, remember, this is still a relevant stat that Spurs have only won there once in the last how many years, and I think that is relevant, and I think Spurs will know that as well. I think Conte will be highlighting that to be a bit of extra motivation, and I think yes, they can hurt them on the counter attack, but at the same time, Arsenal in transition is deadly. Martinelli, Saka, Jesus. I think Odegaard back? I don't know. Fabio. I don't know if he is, but Fabio Vieira. Fabio Vieira, he looks good on transition as well. Like he's taking his time, letting him come into the team. As soon as he came, against Brentford, he looked wicked. Like he's already been playing.
Sorry, Cass, how was this deadly team in transition against you lot?
It was different.
But I think it was a bit different because this time it was, you could say they were missing Partey, but at the same time they had the Emirates as well.
I agree with that. I think that's a massive.
So because they're the Emirates, and I feel like Arteta will learn. I think you said it yourself, Daps, lots of times.
He won't do it again.
He won't play the same way naive when it comes to away away games.
No, but I'm talking
naive.
about but for me, it was more the substitutions. I'm just thinking, like you're saying about how deadly Arsenal are in transition. Like there's a lot of words being used that I'm just kind of questioning. Deadly in transition, Arsenal. I'm sorry, I'm not having Arsenal as deadly in transition yet. Igal's saying that there's certain players, there's a player for every team that everyone should fear, and then saying Partey. For me, I'm thinking, what the fuck? Who's fearing Partey?
Thank you.
Okay.
Come on, man. I get what you're saying, but you can't say. You need to use the right words. You can't say fear and then say Partey, bro. Like, I fear going to my godkid's party more than I fear Thomas. Like, to be honest with you,
the guy's always injured.
Man used his first name.
Like, it's mad that you said that.
Okay.
Yeah,
First of all, no, go ahead. Do you think?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I fear Martinelli running at players because he's scary. He can go either way and he's deadly. Yep. Saka is hit and miss. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not. I always highlight that. People think I'm hating. I'm just being real. I'm not sure what Saka... If Saka turns out and he's good, he's going to be scary. If I see the Saka that I've been seeing for the last year and a half, it is what it is. I don't really care, to be fair. Jesus is deadly and the guy is good. He links the play really well. He's obviously a good finisher.
Bro, you need a red and white kit, man.
No, I'm just an honest fan. Do you know what I mean? So those are the players I fear. Fearing Thomas Partey, a guy that's a mad one to me. I don't think any fan in the league fears Partey. And for you to say that he blankets and stops counters, that's nonsense. You lot will, if Harry Kane gets on the ball and is allowed to turn and play players in, that's going to be scary for you lot. Perisic running at whoever is going to be scary. If Kulu is playing and he's allowed to just play his free game, that's scary. And obviously Son being in good form now, he scored 5 goals in his last two games.
You know what's
that's scary?
Martinelli versus Emerson Royal, that's scary for you. One-on-one matchups that can happen across the pitch that would benefit either side. That's scary. Like I get it. Kulusevski's not playing. I genuinely believe
you don't know. I think that's mind games. I think he'll be all right. I honestly think Kulu will be fine.
Okay. So maybe Kulusevski plays. I'll tell you this right now. Kieran Tierney's probably going to start this game. I don't see Zinchenko starting this game, just coming off 2 weeks. You keep doing this. Liverpool's this right now, so why you keep chatting?
Anyways,
wow.
You made it out like Kieran Tierney was going to be the difference.
Nah, you're making... What?
You made it out like Kieran Tierney was this big difference maker because he started left back.
Nah, Kieran Tierney is a big difference from Zinchenko. Zinchenko is somebody who helps us control games in midfield, where Kieran Tierney is a lot better defensively, and he might not be as good on the ball. But let's be real. I'm making a valid point. You're making silly faces, throwing me off.
Right,
Anyways,
he's right.
Let me continue. Now, this whole thing about all these guys scary. I was just making a point about Thomas Partey's importance to this Arsenal team. I might have not used the right words, allow me, but hey, my main point was him being missing from that game versus Manchester United, and him being missing from that Tottenham game last year. He's a big difference maker, and his availability has been an issue. But when available, he's one of the best players in his position in this league. And he cannot be something that can be frowned upon. He's actually the difference between Arsenal going to the next level. And that's why we need more depth in that position. Everyone screams out, we need more depth in that position, because we know the drop-off from him to Elneny and Lokonga is very, very different. He's just that big of a difference maker for us.
I just want to say about this game. Like, obviously, I did my preview yesterday. I don't know how many people have. I haven't seen it. Like, I kind of agree with a lot of what Igal's saying. And I don't say that very often on the terrace, but I do agree with a lot of what Igal's saying. I think Arsenal, they are scary. Everyone knows I think Arsenal was scary this year. You know, they're scoring goals. They're keeping clean sheets. They're not like Spurs concede far more opportunities on their goal, far more shots on goal, even with Antonio Conte, who is, we know, this master at keeping other teams out. Lloris has had a brilliant season. Some of the saves that he has made have been excellent. And a little bit like City, and to a degree, a little bit like Arsenal, Spurs haven't really played anybody yet. They played Chelsea, and how they walked away with a point from that game, I said it at the time, they should have had a Mardi Gras. They should have been holding house parties, because that was daylight robbery, right?
Chelsea away, West Ham away. Those are not tough fixtures, no?
West Ham away, to be fair.
Okay, hang on, guys. Hang on. Let me respond to that. Like, the Chelsea battered you. How you got away with a point, no one will ever know.
Listen, we walked out there with something. Like,
no, you did. You should know. No, I'm not discrediting the result. I'm talking performance. West Ham have been dog poo this year. This year, West Ham have not been a hard team to play. The point is that in a lot of your games, good quality finishers up front would have punished you. So that's why I predicted a 3-1 victory for Arsenal, because
wow.
I just think,
I can't wait. This is
no, I think a 3-1 victory, because they have got Jesus, they have got Saka, they've got Martinelli. If you afford them the same space that you afforded Leicester, that you afforded Nottingham Forest, that you afforded Chelsea as examples, that you afforded Sporting Lisbon, if you give them all that Arsenal that kind of space and time that you've done in the majority of the games you've played this year, Arsenal will punish Tottenham, especially at the Emirates, a stadium where you got battered by a lesser Arsenal team last year, and a ground that you haven't won in
with a very rubbish manager last year. Let's not.
Okay, cool.
We played with Nuno, and also the whole 12 thing.
12 years, bro. 12 years.
The whole thing about
Tom was in his dad's ball sack back then, bro.
The record is poor, but obviously records are there to be broken. Records are there to be, dusted. Whatever it is. Even the whole
First, your team needs to show up.
Who?
Tottenham, because they don't show up in